This morning, we have a special edition of our Saturday session with the story of one of the country's unique music venues. For decades, New York's Forest Hills Stadium was home to the U.S. Open tennis tournament. In the 1960s, the venue also hosted some iconic music concerts featuring legendary artists like the Beatles and Frank Sinatra. But when the tennis tournament moved to a new location, the music faded away too, and the stadium fell into disrepair. That is, until a promoter and a popular band took a leap of faith and revived a venue that is like no other in the nation.
We're 14 minutes from Manhattan, but you sometimes talk to people and they're like, Forest Hills, where's Forest Hills? You might as well be on Mars.
But Forest Hills Stadium is actually nestled in a residential neighborhood in Queens and is once again becoming a music mecca.
I want something just like this.
Thanks to live event production company Madison House Presents and its co-president, Mike Luba. After The Who played here, you witnessed a moment between Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend. What happened?
One of the beauties about being in an open air space, when it's nice out, it just is intangible how powerful. And Roger walked over to Pete and he said, you know, hey mate, it's nights like tonight, why we still do this.
Built in 1923, Forest Hills Stadium was once the center of sports and culture in New York. A cathedral of tennis, it was the original home of the U.S. Open, where Althea Gibson broke the color barrier.
Vice President Nixon presents the trophies to two big winners, Althea Gibson and Mal Anderson.
Arthur Ashe became the first and only African-American man to win a U.S. Open, and Billie Jean King demanded equal pay. It was also home to one-of-a-kind concert experiences.
Everything from the Beatles landing a helicopter on the grass court, The Who, Jimi Hendrix walking off tour with the Monkees, Bob Dylan playing his gig after going electric at Newport for the first time.
It fell quiet for nearly 20 years, until 2013, when Luba brought Mumford & Sons in for a show.
It was just concrete, and we did it full general admission, and we did the math, and the capacity was 17,000 people. And then about halfway through, at about 8:30, people started backing down the stairways where if you went to the bathroom, you couldn't get back to your girlfriend or husband or wife. The first 300 emails we got were, that was awful. The porta potties were gross. I couldn't get back to my mom. It stunk. Send me back my money. I'm never coming again. But we refunded $400,000 that night. And I think that signaled to the neighborhood that we weren't messing around.
And I will wait for you.
I think that first show we had to, someone had to do it. Someone had to get that show up on the books.
And there are no regrets, according to band member Ben Lovett. Mumford & Sons has now played Forest Hills 3 times.
We'd love to keep coming back. It kind of has the same gravity of the Hollywood Bowl or Red Rocks. It's that important, I think, to the venues of America.
Support from bands like Mumford & Sons was just part of starting a new chapter in the stadium's legacy. The other part? Buy-in from the community. That's why Forest Hills has been tailored to fit its environment.
And then right here, we kind of explained what's happening because people were freaking out. They felt like they're having problems with their ears, but the walls truly were specifically designed to minimize the sound that reaches our neighbors across the street.
And for the fans inside, what are some of the things that you've seen over the 6 years that you've been here?
I think we've seen the fan experience get exponentially better. When we put in the real bathrooms, it cut the lines in half, which enabled us to build more bars and more food. We've really dialed the sound so that it sounds concert level, full blown, as great as anywhere without it actually bothering anyone.
The stadium's hidden features are also a draw, like the last remaining phone booth from the 1968 U.S. Open. I'm laughing because there's really a phone in here.
Yeah, and we have a picture of Arthur Ashe, who we think is calling his mother after he won the U.S. Open.
You do this.
It is not a porta potty.
It is definitely not a porta potty.
Each VIP section is a speakeasy suite designed by Carrie Silvestri of OTR Collective.
This is all truly about the experience and bringing you back to the time and the era where this was so important. When we start designing from the 1920s to the late 60s. And that's how each suite has its own little theme.
For Mike Luba, moving forward for Forest Hills means honoring the past. All of it.
This was the ancestral birthplace of the Davis Cup. So I think that'll be a great day for everyone when there's world-class professional tennis back on center court here.
And a concert maybe the next day.
And a concert maybe after the match.